Disclaimer. The content featured in the following broadcast is purely for educational information purposes. It is based on real-life experiences and POV. Do not contact anyone featured or referred to in this video.
And please do your own research.
What the happened to Depop? It used to be such a good app. You could go and find loads of stuff that you wanted, and now it's just full of
Today's video is about a fashion marketplace app called Depop, made in the UK but now international, and we're going to look at how business has been ruined by venture capitalists. To be fair, I've found the app, which was founded in the golden age of big tech startups, to be very useful. And as with my previous video, my own experience of what is going on led me to research, and I'm going to share the information I found. A quick search of their financial records shows me this was a venture capitalist operation from the get-go. And in 2021, when many felt like they were on the decline, they sold for a whopping 1.625 billion to Etsy.
What?
So for a lot of people, myself included, especially if you're working in the fashion industry, we tend to have way more clothes than we have space for. We've been living in an age where the messages to keep on over-consuming have been overwhelming, and the results are catastrophic. So when I heard there was an app you could use to sell on items you no longer wore, I wanted to give it a try. Becoming an artist was a big lifestyle change. I no longer wore heels, so yeah, they were the first to go. And as they sold, I added more. Bags, clothes, beauty products, books, glasses, anything I could find. And people were happy to buy these items off me, and I was happy they were going to a new home. And then I got a message saying I was a top seller. So where did it go wrong, you may well ask? I had a pretty good run up until about 2019-2020 when I noticed a real slowdown and an increase in time-wasting messages and just general rudeness. There was a dedicated Depop drama social media account set up around 2020 to expose all these bizarre exchanges. But you can go and research that yourself. So if I look at my account, I can see I sold 107 items. And if I average each item being around, let's say £40, I mean, some were like up to 100, 200, some were 10. But if we say 40 to 50 times 107 gives us a total of, it's nearly £5,000. And so they need people like me to keep on selling, for them to keep on making a profit. And it's kind of mad how it sold for so much when myself and others felt like it was on the decline. But this time, all sales were going through PayPal. And if you read about any scams, they were mainly by people who had tried to sell off of the app and not use PayPal. So PayPal I found to be a very secure selling service. And if anything went wrong with a transaction, you could pretty much get refunded. PayPal customer support has always been strong. I remember there was a lot of outrage when Depop started charging 10% sellers fees. And yeah, so of course it affected how much you as the seller received from Depop, but I guess they were getting greedy. So you're paying out 10% to Depop and 2.9% to PayPal. So why did they decide to remove PayPal as a payment option in October 23? They kept sending me warnings that if I didn't switch over to their payment system, I would not be able to make any new listings. And people like myself were reluctant because I'm already aware of how much data harvesting and data farming and data selling goes on with these tech companies. So why do I want to sign up for another platform database where they can have more personal information? And with customer support already being thin on the ground, how can I trust them to be able to resolve any potential disputes? So all this is going on. I'm still getting the occasional message, but most people are expressing disappointment and moving over to other platforms like Vinted. And I'd noticed for a couple of years there'd been a push on me to become like a proper shop, like a business, which this is not what I'm using the app for. I'm using it to sell off my pieces, keep them in use instead of destroying them, and bring in a passive income because these are things I already own. On top of this, their marketing was becoming more and more intrusive, with little pop-up notifications during the day saying, "Hey, why don't you buy something? Someone liked your item, why don't you send them an offer?" Now guess what? I've been working in sales all of my life, and that is not how you get a sale. But who am I? I'm just a random person selling off some of their unwanted clothes. And then I decided to check out other people's experience on TikTok and YouTube. And I came across this guy who seems to do this full time as an income. And he also has a YouTube channel he speaks very honestly on called Lovely Vintage, which I'll link below.
Now, besides all of this, in the past 6 months, my sales overall have been down 33% on Depop compared to the previous 6 months. That's really bad.
And he also talks about the booster feature that they brought in for sellers and how it's pretty ineffectual, which I also have a personal experience of over on the Vinted app. So yeah, using the booster feature, you have to pay more if you do make a sale because they try and accredit it to the fact that it was boosted. And he came up with the following conclusion: that Etsy's responsible for its failure.
I think there's a lot that they still need to work on, and it has been like that for years now. I think ever since Etsy acquired them, it has been like that, and I really think that was the downfall of Depop. I don't think they've made any amazing changes to it.
So I found this article on Yahoo Finance, and it's the official press release, so I'm sure it's going to say how wonderful and how much this Etsy acquisition is going to benefit the company. Let's take a look. Well, it's going to allow it to continue to work out of London. According to experts, I wonder what experts they are. It's going to give Depop the tools to continue the expansion. But what's the point of expanding if no one wants to use it and no one's buying anything? What's the point? Like, I've already pointed out how the boost on marketing and pushing you into doing things does not help, and it's just annoying. It's a turn off. And I'm sure it did experience a boost during the C word, because a lot of people were stuck indoors and they didn't have to spend money going out. So yeah, they did turn to online shopping. But that bubble has long since burst. And I think people genuinely want to shop secondhand, especially in this day and age. The quality of goods has diminished so badly now that, yeah, it's a great idea. But I don't think that the money they're spending on this app is facilitating people to use this app at all. And seeing the videos expressed by other people, I'm not the only one that feels like this. In addition, the online platforms will offer some of the lowest commission rates on the market, unlike their competitors. Oh, well, maybe that explains why they switched to Depop Pay. There's no mention of improving customer support for the organic base. Hello! And that's the area that needs addressing. Oh, and there's no comments on this article. What a surprise. And so what's most disturbing about this overall acquisition is, like, Depop is a small platform, so they say. You know, they're being enhanced by Etsy, which is already got its own problems going on with small artists. Not that I've ever used it myself, but that's another story for another day. But yeah, guys like this guy who do this as a business, he relies on the platform, and what it's doing is it's pushing him to reduce his prices and make lower sales, and he has to go out and buy stock to sell. So in the end, it's just not viable for him. If he's spending more than he's returning, then how's he supposed to keep going doing that as a business? So do you see how they're controlling and manipulating the pricing, and they're forcing people to spend more with them, and it's just not benefiting anyone except the stakeholders, the shareholders in the company. And if we deep dive into who these venture capitalist firms are, they are partnered with the banks. They're like subdivisions of the banks. And really, they're just funding more loans and more shares trading. And they're also partnering with unsustainable companies, unsustainable delivery companies, companies like Klarna, who promote borrowing to young people. And side note, the unsustainable delivery companies, they were using Hermes, now rebranded as Every. If a package goes missing, which it will because the delivery companies can't keep up with the demand, they overstretch their workers. So yeah, packages go missing, and this happened to me, and they say that they're going to destroy the package and refund you. Well, I feel disappointed because Depop are marketing themselves as a sustainable business, and that's not sustainable. And so ultimately, the point of this video is just to show some kind of understanding how these bank-sponsored venture capitalist firms have taken over every aspect of our life, and why we're experiencing such inequality in our world, and why it's getting harder to maintain a decent standard of living when with all this technology and wealth, it should be the opposite. And it's hard figuring it all out. All of this information is really disguised. It's all blurred out. It's all fuzzed out. It's hard to find out what's really going on. And if I can bring any awareness to anyone, because only with awareness can we bring about some kind of change. And on that note, I hope you have a beautiful day and take care of yourself. And just be careful who you do business with. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and maybe subscribe. I'll see you on the next one.